Smacking Off the Podcast's college football wrap-up is brought to you by Doyle Hardgrave Construction, and also by $8 a month auto insurance.
Less than $100 a year, but we still got you covered.
And now, Smacking Off's college football wrap-up with your host, Shannon Madden.
This show is so fucked up. This show is as fucked up
Smacking Off the
as
Podcast's college football wrap-up is brought to you by Doyle Hardgrave Construction, and also by $8 a month auto insurance.
we're beyond
Less
fucked
than
up here.
$100 a year, but we still got you covered.
And now, Smacking Off's college football wrap-up with your host, Shannon Madden.
Yay, it's me. And I'm also coming in again. This show is as fucked up as... Oh, you're playing the thing. That's what you're doing. Okay, we're back on Smacking Off the Podcast. I think we're having all sorts of just bullshit going on with this audio, primarily because I'm a dumbass. I forgot to plug something back in. I cleaned the room up today. Can you tell? Doesn't it sound like there's a lot more space in here?
It does to me.
Yeah, turn that mic thing down a little bit more because we're starting to do the thing again. All right, well, basically what we were trying to do is set up an audio recreation of what happened yesterday during the Georgia State-Tennessee game. And I said Georgia State-Tennessee in the correct order because that's who won the game. That was, and really, that's really the only reason that we're even doing the show today, so we can just talk some mad shit about Tennessee and their program, which is a just giant dumpster fire.
Can anybody actually hear us? If you can, then
yeah, if you can hear us, just throw a middle finger up or something. Let us know, because we've had all kind of problems. Yeah, the situation developed today was in our little studio, and I just kind of got to looking around. I was like, man, this is dusty in here. You know, that picture could go over here. And next thing you know, I spent like 3.5 hours cleaning the studio out and redoing all the wires, took all the wires loose from the board and everything.
That's what Fulmer's doing right now.
Hey, do you smell it in here? It smells great in here.
It does.
The problem is, though, is that I forgot to plug in coming out of the audio board into the computer, and we had to scramble once we realized we were doing the podcast.
It's amazing.
It was a great. Y'all missed a really, really good podcast for the 10 minutes that we were doing it.
We were electric.
Oh, we were. We were on fire. There was all kind of cool shit happening over on this end. Unlike what's going on with the Tennessee Volunteers, because we need to talk about that. That is easily the most shocking loss of the Saturday. Here is a Tennessee program they're back. I mean, it's 1998 all over again. I don't know what the people were saying on the internet.
The Vol fans that I've seen have this all fucking wrong. They're all worried about, is Pruitt the right guy? You hired a fucking idiot to hire your goddamn coach.
Yeah, this isn't Pruitt's fault. We gotta quit. We gotta quit with all and. Doug and myself know this firsthand at being Alabama fans because we watched our own program go through this very same thing before they hired Nick Saban. There was a lot of cooks adding different ingredients that shouldn't have been in the soup to the soup. And eventually it got to the point where it was, it was going to get to the point where all of the Alabama faithful were going to gather together with torches and pitchforks and go down to Tuscaloosa and give Little Bear what for. And they finally stepped off. They finally got a coach that can actually run the program. They quit micromanaging from behind the scenes, and you can see the success now. And I'm not totally crediting our trustees for the success we've had, but they finally got a coach in there that is more than capable and competent of running the program and stood back and let him actually coach. I really honestly believe that that's kind of what we saw a little bit of yesterday in the huge Auburn win over Oregon. That you have a football program, an athletic department that's kind of shrugged their shoulders on the whole football question because they've certainly thrown a whole lot of money at it. And now that they've stood back and let the coach actually coach, which Gus, to his credit, has actually taken over the reins as OC again, and they won. They won as a direct result of his play calling at the end of the game of the last series. So which is bigger? Which was bigger, the Auburn win over Oregon or the Tennessee loss to Georgia State, lowly Georgia State? Homecoming game.
Dane M. Kelly has just joined us. He's been posting pictures of you sticking beer cans up my ass and using them for a funnel.
I have never, ever, ever stuck a beer can up your ass.
Shut the fuck up. That's exactly what we did earlier. We just shut the complete fuck up.
We still sound like we got some echo. This is cool.
Are we echoing? Can anybody hear us?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, well, Bob Arthur said something about Tennessee, so he knows we're talking about Tennessee.
Yeah, but nobody has said, yes, we can hear you. They could be listening to a fucking show from last year.
Dane Kelly wants us to talk about Clemson and Alabama, and there's really not much to talk about. They look exactly like Clemson and Alabama last season. Both of them, of course, you know, we're not talking about major, major opponents here.
Let's just
in Duke.
Let's just move on to this. This was a big deal.
This was. But which was the bigger deal, though? Auburn or Auburn winning against Oregon, and Gus saving his job for yet one more day? We saw this last season when Gus started the season off with a win over an extremely good Washington team. Speaking of Washington, did you get a chance to take a quick look at them? Eason looks like a stud up there.
I did not watch them at all.
Now they were. I only saw a couple of highlights. They were playing East Washington.
I just figured I'd call Tiggy later in the week and he'll give me the rundown.
I didn't even know there was an East Washington.
If you really want to know what's going on with Washington and an unbiased opinion, you have to call Tiggy later in the week.
I like that. I like that graphic, by the way. We've got to give a shout out real quick to our. This is actually our parody podcast that's supposedly coming up.
We sound like
waiting
shit
with bated breath. Yeah, I know. We sound like we're coming from an airport tunnel or something. Like we're headed to a flight. I don't know what that's about.
Is that better?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, that is better.
Hello.
I don't know what the fuck the problem is, man.
Well, I
just unplugged some wires, and I've plugged them all back in, so I don't know, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lots of static sounds like shit, says Bruce Martinez. Excellent. That's what we wanted to sound like. We wanted to sound like an old AM radio
Bruce,
station.
we don't want to hear anything bad.
Yeah.
We wanted just to hear the good shit.
We don't want negative. Yeah, but Easton did a really good job. Bruce Martinez, who is a Washington fan, is chiming in.
No, that's who I would call. I would call Bruce to find out exactly what went down. Because Tiggy's not going to tell you that shit. No. Tiggy's going to say it was a Heisman performance, and Washington, there's no way they're going to lose.
If they were playing against, let's say, Oregon, yeah, I guess that would have been a Heisman performance. They scored, 49-0? He threw.
Then again, we really don't know what Oregon's about.
No. I don't know. I mean, Oregon looked like a fairly decent team yesterday.
One more we need to talk about real quick.
You and I are a little divided on this because I don't think the score for the OSU Florida Atlantic game was as close as the actual score, or I don't think the game was as close as the score indicates. Justin Fields had, he had a day. He threw for 4 touchdowns. I mean, it wasn't awful.
18 and 25, that's not bad. It's
not bad.
QBR, which some people say is not really the rating you want to pay attention to, but it's the rating that I got when I was stealing these graphics.
Yeah.
96.7. Yeah, that's
not 0.1. That's a 0.1.
Right. That wouldn't be a good credit score, but
no, that's a horrible credit score. It's not a good temperature either. If you go to the doctor and that's your temperature, you're going to die. So there is that. Okay, well, I mean, there's. I don't know. I again, it's the very first game of the season. We saw this with several of the games yesterday. Is that there were yips? There were yips all around. Quarterbacks yipping and linebackers missing assignments. Secondaries kind of screw. I mean, it was just the first game of the season. You got some kids. Kids been training in the off season, and quite a few of them are just in some of the games we saw, the freshmen are going to do as freshmen.
Kiffin did a good job of adjustment in that Ohio State game.
He did, and the only question that I have about that score is, did Ohio State kind of step off the gas a little bit late in the game because they dominated throughout most of the game up until the very end, and then Kiffin seemed like he was scoring a little bit more. Is that just a testament to the fact that Ohio State's not very deep? That they went ahead and pulled their starters out, and suddenly FAU started coming alive.
I think Day and Kiffin are friends, and Day said, "I'm going to throw you a bone in the second half."
Yeah, I think you're right. I'd be friends with Lane Kiffin. He's a kind of a cool guy to take to a party. He's going to fuck your girlfriend, but still.
Before we jump to the most serious thing of the week, which is the biggest losers of the week, I got to talk about this for a second. I don't know who watched this. I believe it was Friday night. Nevada hit a 56-yard field goal as time expired to beat the Purdue Boilermakers over in Reno.
Where was Jeff? And we were talking about this off air. Jeff Strom was rumored to be headed somewhere. Where was it? Where's he from?
I don't know.
I can't remember, but Jeff.
Does anybody know that? Where was Jeff Fromm supposed to be going?
Yeah, he was Fromm. Yeah, I don't like him. He was supposed to be hit. No, Fromm. No, it's Strom. You're thinking of Jake Fromm. Fromm and Strom. Yeah, Strom.
All right,
like I always remember because of Stromboli, and there's a restaurant down by my parents' house. She used to make a killer Stromboli sandwich. Yeah, I want to say that he did like a pull like a Gus Malzahn move with Purdue, and kind of alluded to the fact that he might be headed somewhere else, and they gave him a little bit more money, kind of like Gus did with Arkansas. But then again, the Auburn faithful are pretty happy with Gus today. That's going to change in a week or so. That always does.
Did anybody see that Nevada hit that fucking field goal?
I didn't even watch the
because
game.
the first thing the announcer said, and I knew they were going to, they were like, "Oh, he better get this up high enough because it could get blocked." And then somebody said, "Or it could be the dreaded kick six." And I'm like, "God damn, I knew that was
Oh man, we're never going to live that one down.
No, you can't do it. How can you live it down?
I was actually talking with an Auburn fan about that last night, and they brought up kick six, and I had to stop the conversation. Cole was like, "No, we were having a great talk until then, dude. Yeah, there's no sense in bringing all that shit into it. I'll see you in the Iron Bowl."
I agree.
Yeah, it's gonna be at Jordan Hare this year. Eric Easterwood says that
they're gonna poison us. I know.
Eric Easterwood says that Auburn at Jordan Hare is certainly not Duke. So we're not going to just go in there and walk all over.
They're not Duke, but sometimes
we did.
They're not Duke, but sometimes they're Mississippi State.
Yes,
and sometimes they're not.
Sometimes they're Ole Miss. Speaking of Ole Miss, speaking of horrible losses,
I don't think it was a horrible loss. They wouldn't favor the win.
Memphis is Memphis is definitely on the
I mean, if you're in a Power 5 team, you don't expect to lose to a Group of 5 team, but
an SEC team is not supposed to lose to Memphis.
According to the bookmakers, they were supposed to lose, though.
Yeah. Danny Sheridan, bagman.
Did he?
Danny Sheridan called the Auburn game. He called that one early, and they've been laughing about that one on Feinbaum for a while.
What did he say?
That Auburn was going to win that game, even though that
If he starts getting angry with whoever he's talking to, I have figured this out. He's always right. It's like because he knows he's right, and it really pisses him off that you're doubting him. Yeah.
He has that inside info.
We got to do the week's biggest losers because there's quite a few losers this week.
Oh, man, there sure is.
Let's go ahead and jump to the first one. Will Muskrat. How the hell does this guy still have a job?
Look, out of all of the losers that we're going to talk about, this is the one that I'm still kind of a little divided on because I think North Carolina is in much better shape than people think they are. Coach Mac Brown, straight from the announcer booth, back onto the field, winning them games.
He beat Muskrat, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that was bound to happen.
Yeah, that was definitely bound to happen. South Carolina is, unfortunately, kind of been one of those doomed programs, too. The only, real success they've had in the modern era was with Spurrier there.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the most awesome defensive players.
I was talking to my wife about this last night. Who's the greatest coach that Duke has had in the modern era? It's Steve Spurrier.
Yeah.
He coached at Duke. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Before he went to Florida.
Yeah, and, I would still argue.
And he won an ACC title there, or at least a share. Willie Taggart. Man, this is
Willie.
I think he's got the best shot of all the coaches on the hot seat to actually retain his job because Boise's probably not that bad.
No, they're not.
But they did go to they did go to Tallahassee and fucking win the game.
And again, I can't stress this enough. I was just in shock. And the only reason I watched the game last year is because Samford University, not Stanford with a T, but SAMFORD, period, is down the street from us.
It's down.
Samford University. And they, are we down? Are we back up? Can y'all hear us out there?
I think we might be back up.
Oh, shit.
Are we up? God damn it.
Yeah, this is some fucking bullshit.
Now we going.
We're going. Okay.
I think.
All right, we better be. We're as much money as we're paying for this broadcasting service. It better be working.
It did drop everybody for a second though.
Yeah. Well,
And we've got one person back. That's enough.
okay.
I
That's
mean,
all
if you
we
got
really
one
need.
person, you got enough.
Well-
Willie Taggart.
I watched that Sanford game last year. They gave up 375 yards to that Stanford quarterback. They were returning a lot of defensive starters, and I don't know. There's just something about that game that kind of stuck out in my mind. I was like, I don't think they're gonna handle Boise. I really don't.
They didn't.
And they didn't.
They did for a while. It just didn't pan out in the long run. Another big loser this week.
Yeah,
The Pac-12.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a shot to really change the perception a little bit. Not that Auburn wasn't like defending SEC champs or anything, but I mean they're respected in the conference.
Yeah, but if you're gonna beat somebody in the SEC and then kind of beat your chest about it, Auburn is one of those teams. Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, even a team like Mississippi State or somebody like that you just mentioned a moment ago. There's not really much more I can say about the Pac-12 that we haven't discussed ad nauseum on this show. Does the Pac, do they field a championship team this year? A lot of people are high on Utah, which definitely beat BYU. Wasn't a huge convincing win, but it was definitely a win.
The perception was definitely hurt last night.
Yeah.
The fact now, if Oregon wins this game, it's a whole new ball game for the Pac-12.
Well, but Auburn did have to be perfect in those decisions that Gus made down the stretch, and I'll be damned. Bo Nix wasn't great all night, but he was good when he needed to be.
What's Clemson's quarterback that transferred to Mizzou's name?
Bryant. Yeah, Kelly Bryant. Yeah.
Mizzou lost to Wyoming yesterday.
Yes.
Not nearly as big as Tennessee losing to Georgia State.
Still, though, there was a little bit of grumblings about what's Mizzou going to do this year.
There were people saying Mizzou can't go to a bowl, they can't go to the SEC championship game, but there were people saying they could actually go undefeated. I kept hearing that.
Well, they didn't go undefeated against Wyoming.
It's done.
And Wyoming is one of those weird programs. They had that who was the quarterback, Josh, whatever his name was, came out of there a couple years ago. I mean, Wyoming's not necessarily your cellar dweller, bottom feeder program, but they're certainly a team that an SEC contender needs to be able to handle. And who's our biggest loser of the night, though? That's what I'd really love to know.
The whole weekend? Yeah, that would be.
That would.
No. Let me get this. Let me get it right. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
It's Jeremy Pruitt. It is the Tennessee Vols, and it's
no two ways around it.
And I think if the Tennessee people will get their heads out of their ass, it's going to really be Phil Fulmer, because.
Yeah, I think that's where our problem lies.
Look, I want to see Tennessee do good. But
because you have to ask yourself, how much with him being the former head coach and still beloved down at Tennessee, how much input does he really still have into the day-to-day running of the football program? I would figure quite a bit. We're talking about Fulmer, not Pruitt,
right? And then the last order of discussion for today is our new podcast that we're going to be doing on what days? Mondays?
Yeah, we'll do them on Mondays, Wednesdays, and whatever day we're not doing this podcast. We're going to be doing a podcast called Fapping Off the Podcast.
You got a horn for this?
Yes. I have a horn for this, and believe it or not, I won't sound anything like I sound right now. In fact, I may sound a little bit like, who's going to be doing that one, Cagle?
He should be.
Cagle, and possibly Teddy.
Why not? If we're going to have a clown, it needs to be Teddy.
It does need to be. Teddy's,
I mean, you're a good clown. When you had the purple band, you were a better clown.
Russ Mostert would make a good clown, too.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even need makeup. Just a red nose would be a nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he has a red nose, but I think it's red for some other reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably got a little brown on it, too, I would imagine.
Possibly.
Could you imagine working with Russ at the convenience store that he works at?
No. Does he work at a convenience store?
I think he does. Either a convenience store or a grocery store. It's got to be.
Man, there was one thing I do want to look at though.
He probably has to ask permission.
We're going to jump back real quick. We're jumping around tonight anyway.
Yeah.
We got to jump back to this real quick. He came through in a big way, and I'm talking about Bo Picks there.
Yeah, Bo Picks.
Yeah, he threw 2 interceptions early, but he did come through in a big way to win this game.
Yeah.
His numbers are terrible. 13 of 31.
Mm-hmm.
He's completing roughly 1/3 of his passes. Completed 2 of them to the other team.
He did.
His QBR was terrible, but you can't. It doesn't show up in stats.
If his
the shit that he did.
If his QBR was his math grade at the end of the year, he would definitely get held back a year. We're talking about high school, of course.
All right. Well, next week we're going to actually come on when we say we're going to come on.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
And we have a special guest, and I'm talking about next Sunday. After the football games, we got one of the biggest experts on college football coming on with us, and he's going to sing a song at the end of the night probably. Mr. Cowboy Adam is going to come on.
Cowboy Outlaw.
Sorry, Cowboy Outlaw.
Yeah,
sorry.
there is no Cowboy Adam he's
dead.
Retired. No, he's not dead. He just
Cowboy
retired.
Adam's dead.
But Cowboy Outlaw, he's kicking.
It's Joker now, and as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
Yeah.
Man, that was I don't really like the new Batman.
They got a new Joker coming out, Joaquin Phoenix. I'm actually have you seen the trailer for it yet?
He's going to be the Joker now?
Yeah.
You're talking about Johnny Cash guy?
Yeah.
Hope it down.
Yeah,
No,
he's a great actor. I love him. I love him in just damn near everything I've ever seen him in. I'll tell you what else is good, since we're still on the air and we're still running our mouths for a minute. Anybody and everybody that has Netflix, or you have a way to be able to get Netflix feeds like we do, go get you some of that new Dave Chappelle Sticks and Stones. That is quite frankly, I think that's one of his best stand-up routines ever. I watched it twice today. I loved it so much. And I'm not really big into stand-up comedy these days for some reason or another. I love the old classics, Red Fox, Richard Pryor, some of the old early Eddie Murphy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, this transcends all of that. And he takes comedy into places like he always does, particularly in the area of race relations in America. And takes it to places that you don't necessarily expect it's going to go. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Dave Chappelle Sticks and Stones. Check it out. He paid me to say that.
All right. Is there anything else?
I don't know.
Is there anybody listening?
I have fucked this whole entire night up. I deeply apologize to whatever audience we have left. I think it's just Bob Arthur and Dane Kelly right now.
I think Dane actually passed out.
Yeah, he probably.
I think it's just Bob now.
Yeah.
Good night, Bob.
Later.